if I had known the reaction from a certain segment of society to a shaved head, I would have started shaving mine at 14 when I had a giant afro. I ain't looking for hair, dude. That's some other people's issues, not mine.
Okay, scientists, forget about him. Work on me. Priorities, boys. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, LeBron bullies Dylan Brooks, the Maple Leafs get an improbable win, and Wander Franco makes a memorable catch. But we begin today with Jimmy Butler scoring 56 points, tied for the fourth highest playoff total ever, as Miami came back against Milwaukee and took a 3-1 lead in that series. Giannis Antetokounmpo played 38 minutes. He had 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 13 assists. So Milwaukee was at full strength. Wilbon, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Butler's performance?
And Tony, don't forget, Brook Lopez also had like one of his great career games ever. But we start with Jimmy Butler because I think I texted you knowing you had been asleep at least 3 hours, telling you that you were missing, in real time I said this to you, one of the great playoff performances of all time. Look, in the last 44 years, I have, and I know you have because we shared that responsibility with the Washington Post for a lot of years, we've seen all of the great performances in the NBA, and most of them, one of us, if not both of us, were there in person at courtside. Tony, this was up there. The only person that I'm willing to put this with is Michael Jordan. It had tones, overtones of that. And, of course, I think Magic's game in Philadelphia in the finals, he was a rookie. That's my greatest game of all time. And there are Bird games and Dominique games and Kobe games and LeBron games, and there's all that. This was that great. And Giannis and Brook Lopez are in the middle of having great games. And Jimmy Butler was hurting. I mean, he had taken a tailbone fall and was limping around for a couple of days between games. This is an all-time game, as great as anything that I have seen. And I'm like, wow, how do you get better from that in these playoffs? This is still a first round.
Yeah. So I don't know what the phrase is. Is it to get out ahead of your skis or get over your skis? I don't want to do that. We both sat here yesterday. We both said it was not a must-win for Milwaukee.
That's right.
We both said Milwaukee could come back from 3-1. And we both said Miami had injury problems, missing Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo. Right? So I don't want to make more of it than it was. What it was Miami won a first-round game at home, which is something I think they're supposed to do. Jimmy Butler, though, comes back. He's down 11. His team is down 11 with 8 minutes to go. And he then scores 22 points. He personally outscores Milwaukee 22-16. Now, he has been a really good player for quite a while. Eric Spoelstra has been a really good coach for quite a while. You know, Miami is a quality team. I don't know if it's a one-off, Mike, because the rest of the starters on Miami only had 31 points, so I don't know. But yes, it is a great performance. What it means down the road, I'm not certain of.
Tony, I don't know what it means down the road, and that's why I'm isolating it, because I'm comparing it to other worldly things I have seen. I don't care about the significance of the game. I mean, it does put them up 3-1. But, Tony, you know, for me to put something in the same sentence as Michael Jordan, for me, all right, I can't go any higher. I mean, I was a little kid and saw some great games from Wilt and Jerry West. I was a little kid, and they're on that list too. But 50, come on now, 56, man, wow.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, LeBron James also had an epic game last night, one to remember. 22 points, 20 boards, 7 dimes, 2 blocks, in an overtime win over the Grizzlies to give the Lakers a 3-1 series lead. LeBron capped the performance by taking the man who called him old, Tony's boy Dylan Brooks, to the hole, scoring, count the basket, go to the line, and won. Tony, what did that play tell you about each player? What did it tell you about each team?
Okay, so first of all, it's karma. Because Dylan Brooks was opening his fat yap about how old LeBron was. And LeBron is old. He's 38. He's old in the NBA. But LeBron's eyes lit up when Dylan Brooks came out to guard him late in that circumstance. And he drove right by him. And he got the basket that is the game-clinching basket. You don't think he knew who was guarding him? Because I actually think he knew. I mean, I want to refer to notes for a second. It's also karma because I felt and said this yesterday that Brooks should have been suspended for this game because of what he had done in the previous game, where he took a crotch shot at LeBron. And also, he'd been just raising the temperature of the series, I felt, unnecessarily. LeBron got 20 and 20 time in his career. Almost 1,700 NBA games, 20 and 20. You don't think he knew who he was playing against last night? Come on.
Tony, I do. Of course he did. The greats take it personally. People say, I'm not taking it personally. Yeah, you are taking it personally. Look, for LeBron to have that game at, 200 years old, he's the best player on the court in a series with other great players, some of them under 25. I mean, it's unbelievable that he could outthink everybody, outwork everybody, go to the spots he wants, get the results he wants. He got very little help offensively from Anthony Davis, even though he got some rebounding and defensive help, block shot, even of Ja Morant. But for LeBron to take those two charges from Ja Morant and then afterwards say, I know I can't meet him up here anymore. I gotta be low and get him as he takes off. It just tells you about the consciousness that LeBron has about everything going on the court. It was amazing, Tony. And let me just say this about Memphis. They still don't have the maturity to cash in. They don't. There's an immaturity. There's a greatness physically. They have physicality. They are bold. They are fearless. They are even perhaps courageous. Perhaps that word is usable. Certainly it is for Ja Morant. But they're immature. They still do dumb stuff. I'm not sure about their plan and then their execution of it. And they're not ready to beat the Lakers yet, even though they may be physically more talented.
Yeah.
And LeBron's the reason. He's the difference.
Okay, so I wouldn't use the word courageous because they weren't even courageous enough, Ja Morant and Dillon Brooks, to meet the media after the game.
No, well, they're not
which is
that.
something
They don't
that
have
the
any
NBA
character.
insists.
That's character.
Right?
They don't
and
seem
I
to
think
have much of
somebody
that.
on that team, I think somebody on that team, in the upper echelon of that team, has asked themselves this question. Do we think it's a wise investment to move forward for years and years with these two particular players? I told you a couple of weeks ago that I thought the Lakers would win because I didn't like the way Memphis was coming into this thing with the stuff I had read about Ja Morant's behavioral issues. So I think that's what we're seeing.
They're not getting rid of Ja. Those two guys, it won't be Ja Morant who's leaving.
No, of course not.
We know the other guys leaving. And by the way, physical courage and character are two different things. I haven't seen much evidence of character necessarily from the Memphis Grizzlies.
We move now to hockey and a tremendous comeback by the Maple Leafs on the road in Tampa against a team that has won 2 Stanley Cups in the last 3 years. A team I believe, Wilbon, you picked to win last night. The Lightning was ahead 4-1 with 10 minutes to go in the game. Let me repeat that, 4-1. The Leafs tied it in regulation, won it in overtime. So do you come to praise the Leafs or rip the Lightning?
Praise the Leafs, Tony. Praise the Leafs. Come on, you're down at a recent champion. What, champion once removed, you're down again? You were just down the previous game. You're not coming back. You know, man, you're just not coming back in this